Good evening. Good evening and welcome to Aloud at Central Library. I'm Louise Steinman, the curator of the series, and of course I'm thrilled to present this evening with Reza Aslan, Sam Harris, and Jonathan Kirsch in a discussion titled, Can Religion and Reason Be Reconciled? There are many issues rolled up in this great blintz of a title, though I can guarantee that tonight's debate will be very spirited. I can't guarantee that we're going to come to any conclusions, definitive conclusions. Is rationality the right standard to invoke in the context of matters of faith? Can faith and reason be reconciled? Should they be? What is more important, perhaps, than coming to conclusions, at least to me, is the fact that tonight's speakers and you, the audience, feel welcome and encouraged to engage in a free and open debate on this topic. I was very honored. It's been almost a year when Reza proposed doing this for Aloud, and I really thought, what better place to have this discussion than the Los Angeles Public Library, an institution dedicated to free access for all to ideas and information. So it is in that spirit that we will proceed tonight. Before we begin, would you please turn off your cell phones and pagers? I think I did as well, so we can all be present in the room. For the format tonight, after our conversation, after the debate with Jonathan moderating, our panelists will be delighted to take some of your questions. We will have a microphone circulating in the room. C-SPAN is filming tonight, and we also record for possible podcast. So we ask that you wait until the microphone comes to you so that we can all hear the questions. The C-SPAN will be broadcasting over the next couple of months. They'll probably do it several times. Sam, Reza, and Jonathan will be signing books in the lobby after the program, and books are for sale tonight, courtesy of the library store. So after the program, you can meet us in the lobby for the book signing. All three participants tonight are accomplished authors and speakers, so I'm not going to give you their long versions of their bios. They all have websites, so here are just some highlights of who these three participants are. Reza Aslan is an internationally acclaimed writer and scholar of religions. He's the Middle East commentator for NPR's Marketplace and Muslim affairs analyst for CBS News. He's currently a research associate at the University of Southern California's Center on Public Diplomacy. His first book, No God But God, The Origins, Evolution, and Future of Islam, has been translated into half a dozen languages and was shortlisted for the Guardian First Book Award. Sam Harris is the author of the New York Times bestsellers The End of Faith and Letter to a Christian Nation. He's a graduate in philosophy from Stanford University and has studied both Eastern and Western religious traditions along with a variety of contemplative disciplines for 20 years. He's now completing a doctorate in neuroscience. His book, The End of Faith, won the 2005 PEN Award for nonfiction, and several foreign editions are in press. Jonathan Kirsch, actually Sam joked that Jonathan had written more books than he and Reza combined, which is true, is the author of the best-selling A History of the End of the World, How the Most Controversial Book in the Bible Changed the Course of Western Civilization, and 9 other books, including the national bestseller The Harlot by the Side of the Road, Forbidden Tales of the Bible, and the best-selling God Against the Gods, The History of the War Between Monotheism and Polytheism. Jonathan is also a longtime book reviewer for the Los Angeles Times. He broadcasts on the NPR affiliates KCRW, FM, and KPCC, and he's an adjunct professor on the faculty of NYU. And just as his day job, he's an attorney specializing in publishing law and intellectual property in Los Angeles. Before we begin tonight, Jonathan, Reza, Sam, and I would like to dedicate this program to the memory of the Turkish-Armenian journalist Hrant Dink. So we will offer this in his memory. Please welcome Reza Aslan, Sam Harris, and Jonathan Kirsch.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Louise. It's really my honor to be here tonight with Sam and Reza. It's the only event I've ever attended for which tickets sold out in 90 minutes, and people began to implore me if I could get them in the door. It's like a Rolling Stones concert. I would like to say, to elaborate on the dedication tonight, Hrant Dink was famously convicted under Section 301 of the Turkish Penal Code, which criminalizes so-called conduct insulting Turkishness. It reminds us that religion is only one of the markers by which human beings distinguish themselves from each other, declare each other's to be enemies, and sometimes kill each other. The Turkish and Armenian conflict is religious in part, but it's also ethnic and national. And as we have our conversation tonight, I think you'll see that theme come up again and again. I'd also like to say, just in the interests of kind of leveling the playing field, that we might also dedicate the evening to other victims of hatred, small-mindedness, and violence. Yitzhak Rabin, murdered by Yigal Amir, a Jewish religious fanatic. Dr. Barnett Slepian, an obstetrician and gynecologist, murdered by James Charles Kopp, a Christian religious fanatic. And the worshippers at the Mosque of the Cave of Patriarchs, who were machine-gunned while worshiping by a Jewish religious fanatic and a medical doctor named Baruch Goldstein. A friend of mine, and I understand a friend of Reza's, a wonderful writer named Karen Armstrong, has pointed out that one of the identifying characteristics of the human race, which used to be thought of as our capacity to make tools, that's what distinguished us from the lower orders, and then it was discovered that some animals could make tools, that we had language, and it was discovered, of course, that animals have language. She's pointed out that what truly distinguishes the human race from the other orders of animals is our religious imagination, our capacity to imagine a higher power at work in the world. So far, anyway, we don't think the animals have that capacity. Karen has written, there's a case for arguing that Homo sapiens, rational or thinking man, is also Homo religiosus, religious man, believing man. And that's another theme that I think we are going to visit again and again tonight. To get the conversation started, I'd like to ask the audience to indulge me. I'm going to read a quotation from Reza's most recent book, or new book, and from Sam's most recent book, which I think of as kind of matched, paired opposites, and then I'll invite each of you to see if you can reconcile your points of view.